going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and this is iRacing Week 13 10-top tussle from Hockenheim, one of the short layouts. We're driving the freshly released McLaren 570S GT4. This is an unofficial race, so the points are made up. Nothing matters, you know, even more than usual. 15-minute race, and hopefully we're going to have a blast.
Green flag, green flag. The pace car is in.
So the hot fix for the main build was released earlier today, and they released this car at the same time, which is kind of a little weird. We kind of sort of knew this car was coming because a day or two before the main update released, someone found in the paint templates a template for the 570S GT4. So it's kind of one of those weird things where it became an open secret and everyone knew about and knew specifically this is a car that we're going to be getting, but it wasn't here yet, and no word from the staff or anything like that, so it's kind of a little weird. But in that hot fix, they also fixed the issue with the super late model and camber, so that way you can go ahead and run it on the road courses now. I haven't done that quite yet, but that will come. As well as a few more tracks got updated with track surface changes on the oval side of things. Chicagoland and Michigan in particular are the ones that jump out in my mind. I think there might have been one other one. This 570S GT4. Yes. Finally, a GT4 car in iRacing that I actually have a bit of a pull towards. You know, you always want to drive a car that you like, and I don't have a problem with the Cayman. You know, it's perfectly fine, but it just doesn't draw me in. And the BMW also kind of sort of the same way. That been my GT4 of choice here in iRacing, but I mean, the 570S is probably my third favorite of all of the GT4 cars that are out there anyways. You know, behind the Mustang and Camaro, because America. But like when it comes to ACC, this is the GT4 car that I go to, even though the Camaro's over there. Largely because the Camaro skins are so super ugly that they have in that game. I'm too lazy to go ahead and make my own custom skin for it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Now driving this car, one thing that really jumps out, first impression, force feedback, very lightweight. You're going to want to go ahead and turn your force feedback strength up on this car. You know, for reference, I seem to be running around 8 or 9 on the force feedback scale in game, whereas this car here in iRacing, I've basically doubled it just to get the same weight in the steering and the same type of feel. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It feels like other cars in iRacing. You know, you'll quickly adapt to it. It doesn't feel particularly bad. Because, you know, some cars every now and then in iRacing, for one reason or another, the tire, suspension geometry, the way it all works. But here, no complaints. Feels just like a standard GT car in iRacing. Just make sure you turn your force feedback strength up a little bit. Now in terms of setup options, being a GT4 car, this car is somewhat limited. You have 2 sets of front and rear anti-roll bars, front and rear springs, adjustable dampers, front and rear, as well as toe and camber adjustments. Obviously tire pressures and fuel, as well as the rear wing adjustment. There are 3 levels of driver assists, which we are using the track mode, which is the basically default, as well as least invasive assist setting, and then there's 2 more above that where it'll be more active and keeping you on the track. Unfortunately, unlike with the BMW at least, you can't go ahead and turn the traction control all the way off. Although I will say the traction control doesn't really intervene particularly much in this car. You know, it doesn't feel like you're really being held back in the same way as like the BMW, for example. overall, I'm enjoying this car, and I fully expect to be doing a lot more GT4 races in the future. Here in iRacing. And I'll also say, now that we have 3 GT4 cars, can we get another TCR for the TCR homies out there? Because iRacing, their GT4 series is based upon the Michelin Pilot Cup Championship, you know, the Tier 2 IMSA series, where they race GT4 cars and TCR cars in multi-class environment. Whereas here in iRacing, there's only one TCR, and I think partly because of that, the class just kind of gets stomped out by GT4 cars. Multi-class really is at its best when you have a good even mixture between the two. Now, besides the force feedback, the one thing that's really stuck out with me, and it really just kind of dawned on me why I like this car so much. It's basically a GT4 Skip Barber car from iRacing here. It sounds totally absurd, but hear me out. The way you drive this thing, like this car naturally just wants to rotate into the corners and kind of back in there. So much like the Skip Barber. Understeer on corner exit, that's, you know, the iRacing Skip Barber to a T. Now, of course, you have a actual differential rather than that stupid open diff stuff that the Skip has, you know, which makes even 115 horsepower, you know, you've got to manage it a little bit more. But all told, I think this is going to be one of those cars that is very popular. And I have to say, if this is what the guys who are raving about the Cayman were talking about, which again, I can't really tell you because I don't have that car, then I can definitely understand the appeal.
Car right. The next car's the leader. Clear on the right.
Just go ahead and yoink that. I do feel like the inside there, that green stuff, should probably technically be an off track, but...
You're in second position right now.
But, you know, it is what it is, right? Same for everyone, they say. Also say, these things do move around surprisingly much on the brakes. I am running minimum rear wing just to try and get more oversteer in the higher speed corners and get a better balance on it. But even with the default rear wing, which is, you know, medium downforce, it still does that thing where it's kind of wiggling around at the back, which I don't mind. Kind of like that, you know, helps get the car rotated into the corner. But just something that is definitely noticeable. And then you just murder that corner in all of the wrong ways. I am digging this car. Like, I am getting along with this car pretty well. You know, I feel I kind of talked about it with the ACC review I did, you know, back end of last year. Where every now and then in that game you'll get that feeling where everything is just right and you'll hit it just perfect. And it's like, okay, this is exactly what I need to do every single corner all of the time. And if I do that, I will become an alien. I've had the closest thing I've had to those moments in iRacing with this car already. Now, in terms of balance and performance, a couple of people seem to be indicating that the Cayman might be the go-to strongest car in the class right now, but I'm not going to make any real statements about balance and performance, and this is a Week 13 race, so it really doesn't matter, but... And I'm not just saying that because there's a Cayman in front of me. I just feel like that is a legitimate thing that must be discussed, at least briefly, touched upon in this environment. Because every race I've done with this car, and I've done 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure a Cayman has won every last one of them. And usually within iRacing, everybody goes to the new car in an instant, you know, because it's the new thing, right? So if that's not happening and everybody's sticking with the Cayman, kind of little suspect, you know. I really would just a little bit more turning on the power there. Really make me enjoy this car just that little bit more. And I've gone ahead and tweaked the setup a little bit, worked with it, but you know, being a GT4 car, you just don't have the adjustment room to get what I'm looking for. Part of it probably is, you know, need to install the driver mod, as they call it. Oh, and part of the hot fix, they also changed the track limits here at Hockenheim ever so slightly. You can now get a 1X for running wide, but realistically, I don't see it as one of those track limit changes where it's going to matter all that much. It's technically easier to go ahead and get a 1X off track in turn 1 now, but it's still one of those things where you're not really going and doing that on purpose in all likelihood if you're going off there. Because the way with the rumble strip there in turn 1, it's kind of actually banked back towards the track.
You got about 5 laps of fuel left.
So really, if you go that wide, you're not really saving any speed unless you just outright full on, you know, we're going to go ahead and take this corner flat out here, go to the wall type thing. But in a realistic scenario,
You just got the white flag. That means 1 more lap to go.
so much fun through the stadium section there, though. This car in general is just so much fun. Now, if only I could, you know, take turn 1 like a normal human being and not screw it up every single time. Bit of gap behind us. I just love how you can enter the corner with a little bit of opposite lock in this thing. Just kind of back it in there. Not used to Not used to seeing that in iRacing, that's for sure. That's going to be that. Looks like there's some events unfolding behind us, but we'll go and take a look at that after the race. But, yeah, McLaren 570S GT4.
There's the checkered flag.
Expect to see this a lot more on this channel.
Great job. You did really well.
I gotta say, I really like this car. I like the way it drives. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Roll on the Carnage Report. Hype, bye.
Very clean. Really mad about you driving yourself off the track in a week 13 race? You just took me out. I was not even close to touching you. You drove yourself completely off the track. You need to watch the replay if you seriously think I was even anywhere close to you. Okay, it's true. Just took it to replay. But maybe it was a net cut because it hit my car quite strongly.